Pikmin 2 is a weird game. It's the fan favorite and it's fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it's very different from the other games in the Pikmin series. There are a lot of things to delve into with this game, and in this review I'll be going over all of that. Well, besides the side modes. Let's start the review. Let's start by talking about the big new thing in this game. The caves. These are multi-floor dungeons with tons of treasures to collect, and they have turned some people off from the game. The vast majority of treasures, which are the main collectibles, are found in caves compared to the overworld. The overworld sections have been improved, with more puzzles compared to the first game, like the numerous weight puzzles in the game. I like the caves, I think they're fun. They are randomly generated. It's not like AI art or anything. The randomization primarily just shuffles the pre-made rooms. There are several sub-levels that are entirely man-made too. Oh yeah, important reminder, don't reset unless you absolutely have to. Doing it this way just makes the game a lot more fun. Now I will admit some of the early caves are a little weak. The White Flower Garden is mostly filler floors. I'd say sub-level 2 is the only one that was pretty good. The Citadel of Spiders is a later cave and it's equally underwhelming. It's mostly small enemies, and BD was nerfed into the ground in this game. The Hole of Beasts is better, but still too simple for my tastes. This is the cave that teaches you that this game doesn't fuck around. I love Pikmin 4, but you can kinda just rush and spam throughout the entire game. If you try to do that in Pikmin 2... yeah. The difficulty is the main strength of this game, and the specific way that the difficulty makes up for the lack of multitasking. In caves, multitasking doesn't matter as much. I completely understand if people don't like the game for that reason. Saying it's Pikmin for people who don't like Pikmin is pretty hyperbolic, but they aren't technically incorrect for thinking that. But the caves make up for that in other areas. I'll use some of the highlight caves to illustrate this. Glenn's Kitchen is where this game starts to pick up. First, it has a unique theme rather than the standard cave look. It's a child's playroom and I love that. There's a train set on sub-level 2 and plates and shit. It's very memorable. And there's also this. Yeah, this game just drops random shit from the sky. Pikmin 2 can be a complete asshole sometimes, but that's my favorite part of the game. 1, it's funny. 2, it's completely fair. When it drops like a bomb or other random shit on you, you're given a lot of time to react. It creates a lot of oh shit moments in tense situations. It delivers that signature Pikmin intensity. And the other games is done through doing a lot in a short period of time, but here's through the shit this game puts you through. The Cavern of Chaos, Hole of Heroes, and Subterranean Complex show this off pretty well. Floor 1 of Cock puts you in a big open area filled with enemies and asks you to grab all the treasure. Sub-levels are usually pretty segmented, so having a more open area is a nice twist. SE Floor 3 has cannon beetles to dodge. It's an open area without a lot of cover, so it tests your ability to dodge dangerous hazards. And sub-level 5 is extremely tense with bombs constantly falling. Cock sub-level 3 is themed around creeping chrysanthemums and other surprise elements like boulders. I'm always really unlucky with boulders. Every time one drops, I'm looking at something else so I don't see the shadow. It's usually fine, but sometimes it isn't. Probably unthreatening creeping chrysanthemums in large numbers makes them an actual challenge. Again, it puts you in an intense situation and you need to fight your way out of it in a short period of time. So it does require some time management in a sense. I'm going to talk about the Hole of Heroes for a bit. Sub-level 2 has tight corridors with breeding Dirigibugs. This part specifically is pretty dangerous. If I throw my Pikmin too far, they get electrocuted. You also have the bombs the Dirigibug dropped. Another intense situation that tests your aim. Sub-level 7 is fantastic. You're in a big room with a fuck ton of cannon larvas. Strategies to take out the cannon larvas before fighting the ranging Ployster. Again, there's no cover and the decorated cannon beetles make it significantly harder. You have to quickly think under pressure, prioritize targets, and find an optimal route. Sub-level 6 is a hellhole of enemies in small spaces, and again it makes for tense situations. The Cock boss is what really ties the cave together. The segmented cropster is insane. It's a brutal boss and that's why I love it. He rolls around and will crush any Pikmin that get too close. He isn't slow either. If you make one wrong move, he could easily crush half your army. And when you expose his weak point, rocks fall from the ceiling, so you can't just sit there and brainlessly mash. He's a threat even when he's down. When he gets up, he flings your Pikmin around the arena, which puts them at a bigger risk of being crushed. I love this boss. Please upload more gifs of him on Tenor. Specifically one where he rolls over an army of Pikmin. All of these were fair and completely doable, but still extremely tense. Caves don't have that many big gimmicks, besides, of course, the submerged castle. Apparently this is seen as one of the hardest caves, but I didn't have much trouble with it. I guess I'm just a Pikmin god, what can I say? By the way, I only entered with like 60 Pikmin. Get that off the screen! I did really love this cave though. Has that time pressure mechanic, and that's all you need to be an S tier cave. This makes me wonder why they didn't have some kind of time pressure mechanic in the other caves. Maybe not in the form of a super strong enemy, but maybe it could spawn more enemies after a certain period of time, or respawning enemies, I don't know. Even if he only spawned once for me, he still got me into the traditional Pikmin mindset of multitasking. It's like the time limit in Pikmin 1. You're probably not going to run out of time, but it makes your time feel more valuable, and that makes you want to get a lot more tasks done quickly, which is what traditionally makes Pikmin fun. You can only enter with blue Pikmin, and that adds some more challenge. They throw a lot of non-water enemies like fiery Bulblaxes and fiery Blowhogs. You get Bulbmin, but you're still stuck with standard attack strength. And there is the trademark Pikmin 2 cruelty I love. They drop volatile Dweevils, which are bombs that run at you. Again, completely avoidable, but they create so many oh shit moments. Greening Dirigibugs drop bombs on you, but for beating the Water Wraith, you get the Pluckaphone. And god, it's good. Pikmin 2 probably has the best upgrade progression out of any of the games. You get them from bosses, which is more satisfying than just finding them or buying them. It feels more earned. Basically all the later caves are really good. Okay, except one. I think the Dream Den is where this game gets a lot of its stereotypes. The first couple floors are really bizarre. Besides the occasional hazard in a place where it doesn't make sense, you can't really tell the areas are randomly generated. But here there's like one treasure per floor, and the enemy with the treasure is right next to spawn. This happens several times and I don't get it. Like in sub-level 5, the fire geysers feel really random. Sub-level 8 is just enemy spam. Sub-level 13 has a lot of Bulborbs. It's really weird. It felt like they were trying to stretch out the cave maybe, but it's really weird. It's like some sort of dream den. Sub-level 10 is the only one in the game that was complete fucking bullshit. Is it the worst thing humanity's ever done? No. But I'd say it's about like Cambodian genocide level. The Gatling Groink is what ruins this. Now, I don't mind the Gatling Groink normally. He's a little overpowered, but he's fine. He's not unfun or anything. But in water, he's fucking bullshit. He's a free roam enemy for some reason, so he just walks to where you are and spams missiles. And since it's a cave, you only have like 20 blues. So you need to get him onto land, which is impossible since despite being a free roam enemy, he just refuses to go on land. And if you want to fight him with 20 blues in the water, have fun dealing with the 70 other water enemies that team up with him. For some reason, Pikmin pathing takes the route with those 75 enemies. It's the only bad level in the game. Again, there's only one bad sub-level in the whole game. The boss is pretty good. I like that it uses treasure since it's a Dweevil. Stealing treasure is their big thing. You should only fight him with yellows because of their throw height and immunity to the only insta-kill hazard. It might be a little too long of a boss fight, but I don't mind that much. It also expands on Louis. Who is Louis?
No rules, no boundaries. He doesn't flinch at torture, human trafficking, or genocide. He's not loyal to a flag or a country or any set of ideals. He trades blood for money. He's your new best friend.
I know that was kind of random, but it's an awesome video, so fuck off. Sorry if that was mean, my entire family was just murdered. Maybe you could like the video or something to make me feel better. What were you talking about? Oh yeah, Louis. It's implied he was in control of the Titan Dweevil. One of the emails said he was forced to eat bugs as a child, which is what made him obsessed with them. That's actually a really cool motivation and adds a lot to his character instead of just being a random maniac. And it was removed from the Switch version. Thanks, Nintendo. As a conclusion, there's so many fun and difficult caves with such a huge variety of enemies. But speaking of enemies, let's start with bull bears. I don't mind the reviving mechanic. I don't think I've ever actually seen a bull bear revive, but it makes the enemy a bit more intricate. The only time I didn't like them is in the subterranean complex where it just drops one from the sky. Typically this is fair because you have time to react, but not here. They're also free roam, which I also think is really fun. Makes them more dangerous. One of the most dangerous enemies might be the Bulborb larva. Okay, maybe not the larva on its own, but specifically them in the Frontier Cavern. It might seem weird, it literally has 0 HP. How can it be hard? Because it will instantly kill any Pikmin it touches. A single touch and that Pikmin is dead with no way of saving it. And these spawn infinitely until you kill the Empress Bulblacks. Once you get to the actual Bulblacks fight, they aren't that big of a deal, but on the Trudge Tour, they are hell. Speaking of hell, bumbling snitch bugs. I don't mind and even like a lot of the controversial enemies in this game, but these fuckers are so annoying. They're basically guaranteed to grab one of your captains because you can't move your captains independently, and then all of your Pikmin get dismissed and it's RNG if they drop you. You could do the exact same amount of mashing and get completely different results. And their slam does damage to your captain. And what happens when your captain gets damaged? Makes this ear-piercing beeping sound for the rest of the cave. And because they're a snitch bug, they're extremely hard to hit. They are so fucking annoying, I want them out of the game. Withering blowhogs are annoying too. They can't harm your Pikmin, but they deflower them, which just makes everything slow. They're not dangerous, just annoying. They're mostly avoidable if you attack their sides, but sometimes they can get you. Those are the only enemies I didn't like though. Gatling Groiks are another enemy that gets criticism, but I don't mind them. They probably have too much stuff packed into them. Reviving, a face shield, being free roam. I feel like you could remove with just one of these things and they'd be more balanced. They're the only enemy I'd call overpowered, but again, they aren't unfun or anything. Besides floor 10 of the Dream Den. Again, they're fine. I actually really love volatile Dweevils though. They create really tense chases. You're given plenty of time to run away, but if you have leads, you need to be careful. The Man at Legs is a fantastic boss. He appears in 2 caves, which is why I'm talking about him here and not the cave section. Strategy is to take cover while he's shooting and attack when it's holstered. This first fight isn't too bad. It's tricky, but once you learn how to fight him, it's manageable. The second fight is pretty hard though. There isn't a good cover spot. The only one doesn't protect you completely. This means you need to fucking run. And even if you run, it's very likely he'll kill a lot of your squad. It's still the Man at Legs, but way harder, since you barely have any cover. There was an asterisk to this. I had like 20 Pikmin when I got to him, so it's probably easier if you have more. I'm still a god gamer. I only lost because creepy chrysanthemums have a really fun design. They're not very hard since purple can just stun them, but they can surprise you. Hermit Crawmads can be a little tricky. It's hard to get them to expose their weak point. They can certainly snatch a couple Pikmin. And the Pileated Snagret. This is a boss, but the Snagret hole isn't that interesting, so I'm talking about it here. Apparently a lot of people hate this guy. I don't mind him that much. They're kind of just big Snagrets and they die the same way. I don't think it's a skill thing because people don't complain about regular Snagrets. I just don't think he's that much harder than one of those. From what I've seen, it's mainly that he has a lot of health and like, it's a boss. I think it's fine if he lasts a bit longer. If you guys have more reasons, feel free to leave them in the comments. The final enemy is the Decorated Cannon Beetle. The strategy is to spam them with purple before they can react, which is kind of the strategy with most enemies. You know, let's just talk about purples and Pikmin in general. This game has 6 types, kinda. Purples are fucking busted, I'm not gonna waste your time. They are the best Pikmin in the series and it isn't even close. You probably know why. A 5-second stun, 50 damage slam, double damage, and a guaranteed stun on hit. They annihilate any mid to large sized enemy in seconds. Hulking Baronet, non-issue. A big tanky creeping chrysanthemum, he looks pretty strong. Bye. The Emperor Bulblax, the final boss of the first game, dead. If you hit an enemy with the slam, like it's just over. That's one of the only balancing mechanics they have. If an enemy is too high up, you won't be able to stun them. This only applies to some of the long legs and snitch bugs. I mean, they still do double damage, but I guess they could be better. They only trivialize mid to heavyweights. For bigger boss type enemies, they aren't as busted. Fun fact, the Emperor Bulblax is specifically coded to take 1/5 of the damage from a purple Pikmin slam. They are one of 3 enemies to be this way, but this still happens. They are completely overpowered, but the game is still pretty hard. You also get them in very limited numbers. Not that it matters too much since you only need like 20 to destroy most enemies, but they can also carry 10 times more than any other Pikmin, which is nice. But they're very slow, which is annoying. The next Pikmin is the white Pikmin. They're immune to poison, which is a pretty prevalent hazard. They're very fast, which is good for sneaking back treasure. I didn't use their carrying abilities as much as I should have, but they're useful, especially for challenges or in the Dream Den sub-level 4. They do a good amount of damage when eaten, which is a nice consolation prize. They're also pretty limited, and there's no annoying, slow doomsday apparatus. You'll only need 30 in total at any time. Bulbmin are the final new type, and they're kind of a weird case. They're immune to all 4 hazards and tripping for some reason, but they're standard other than that. Immunity to all 4 hazards is very useful, especially in the submerged castle. But the main reason they're so good is that they're the only way to replenish your numbers in caves. This is a pretty hard game, and you're likely to lose a lot of Pikmin in the later caves. Assuming you aren't spamming resets, but again, that's just not a fun way to play the game. So getting 10 new Pikmin is invaluable. And they can fill the role of any other Pikmin you might have lost since they're immune to the core hazards. They aren't worth 10 Pikmin when carried or immune to wind like purples, but besides that, they're basically an all-in-one. You can't bring them out of caves though, and that balances them. Slight spoilers for the Pikmin 4 review, but this is why Bulbmin are better than Glow Pikmin. Glows may be better stats-wise, but Pikmin 2 replenishing your troops is invaluable, versus Pikmin 4 where you'll rarely need to replenish your numbers. Now on to the returning Pikmin. Reds kind of fell off. They went from being debatably the best Pikmin to the worst. Their role as the combat Pikmin has been replaced by purples, and fire geysers can be taken out by any type, though it's much easier to do it with reds. Their only exclusive role is dealing with fiery Bulblaxes, and fire isn't too threatening in this game to begin with. They're great filler when you don't need more of any other type, because they still do 50% more damage. Yellow's got a pretty big buff. They were good in Pikmin 1, but you weren't using them as much as the other types. Here they're extremely good. Electricity being an insta-kill makes you really want Yellows to deal with it. Functionality wise, that decision works. I don't know why everyone's like, oh, this needs to come back. It's not cheap, it isn't unfair, it's just a lazy fix. Oh, how do we make Yellows more useful? Just make their hazard insta-kill to make them artificially more valuable. It works, I'm not denying that, but I think they could have come up with something better. If you're asking me, Pikmin 3's wires were a better direction to go in. There's so many cool possibilities with wires. What if wires only worked when Yellows were operating them, so you could use 20 Yellows to keep shortcuts open, but that would mean you're working with only 80 Pikmin, so combat would be harder. If you ask me, that's way more interesting than make their exclusive hazard insta-kill. I know I've been complaining this whole time, but this is the best Yellows have ever been. Immunity to electricity is extremely useful. Blue Pikmin are still good. There isn't as much water as Pikmin 1, but there isn't anything that replaces them. They're a good type, it's just that others are better. There are several other important mechanics. We have 2 captains while Go Here hasn't been introduced. Multitasking is still improved a lot, particularly with travel time. I didn't appreciate this until I replayed Pikmin 1, but there are a lot of moments in that game where you need to walk a pretty big distance and you kinda wish you could be in 2 places at once. Having 2 captains makes your gameplay a lot faster in general. Like I said earlier, this only applies to the overworld. However, these don't hold a candle to the AI changes. The Pikmin 1 AI is really frustrating. They're really dumb and will just trip, and it's common for them to be scattered. And when you're swarming something, once it reaches maximum capacity, the other Pikmin just go idle. The worst part is how it handles bridges or slim areas. Just look at this shit. Thankfully, all of these were fixed in Pikmin 2. Elemental hazards were also given some changes. Fire was made more forgiving, the timer was increased, and they scattered less. I feel like this was a little unnecessary. Even in Pikmin 1 re-releases, they'd still scatter around. It poses very little threat now. Poison is a new hazard and it functions just like fire. Would have liked a different effect to make it more unique, but whatever. Like I mentioned earlier, electricity is very dangerous. It's a hazard you need to respect, and that's kinda cool. And there's a risk-reward aspect when it comes to enemies like Anode Beetles. The final new mechanic are the sprays. There are 2 types, bitter and spicy. Spicy spray increases your Pikmin's attack speed and brings your Pikmin to flower speed, which is very useful. It's pretty balanced considering how hard they are to get. Bitter sprays are a little broken though. They stun an enemy for 9 full seconds. Most bosses take significantly less damage when bittered, but it's still busted. It isn't too overpowered since it isn't easy to get sprays. In order to get a spray, you need to collect 10 of these berries. It takes a while and that keeps them in check. I never grinded bitter or spicy sprays and rarely went above 6, which might seem like a lot, but you really have to make them last. They're an emergency button, more so bitters. Plus burgeoning spiderworts, which are plants with these berries, can only be found in specific areas, so once you get all the treasure in that area, you can't farm them unless you wasted a grinding, which isn't very fun. Enemies or eggs also drop sprays, but isn't common enough to alleviate their scarcity. There is a glitch or exploit called the double suck where you can get double the amount of sprays, but if you don't do that, my point still stands. There are several small things I wanted to discuss that didn't really fit anywhere else. First, I'm sorry for the 480p footage. If Nintendo didn't fuck up the Switch port, I probably would have used that because better footage. They removed the Wii, fuck that version. Plus Wii remote controls, but Wii jokes are more important. They should really make an IR attachment for the Switch 3. Next, the Piccolopedia is fantastic. On a conceptual level, it's amazing and it's executed beautifully. Learning about all the biology of the Pikmin world is super interesting. The overworld areas are reused, but they're fresh enough to where it doesn't really matter that much. They're effectively completely new areas, just using an existing one as a base. The only one that I can easily recognize is the perplexing pool being the distant spring. I can't even tell you what the Wistful Wild is. It's probably the impact site based on process of elimination, but it's completely different. The modern versions also don't let you skip cutscenes, which sucks, and it's a really odd change. But that's the only real downside of the Wii version for the average player. Resolution is only a big deal if you're getting footage. The Wii version is still better because of the astronomically improved controls. Don't get me wrong, GameCube controls are completely usable, but Wii mode controls are just so much better. The story is also pretty good. The main objective of Pikmin 2 is to make money. You return to your home planet directly after Pikmin 1. Your company is in a lot of debt because Louie ate some golden Pikmin carrots he's supposed to deliver. But a souvenir you brought back is worth a lot of money. So you go back to the planet to get more money without seeing your family. It's a good story, it's pretty unique and interesting. It's different from a lot of the other Nintendo stories, and that's what I like about it. There is a debate around if Nintendo should have an in-depth critique of capitalism in my Pikmin game. However, that's what the filthy fucking poor are discussing. The conversation true intellectuals like me are having is, would Olimar or Louie be the communist? Obviously there has to be some kind of divide between the captains, but who's what? Leave your answer in the comments. Plus, it's already a non-linear game. You might as well have the Communist Manifesto as a treasure. Actually, that sounds kind of funny because someone like mod that in. The game also has an adaptive soundtrack, meaning it changes depending on the situation, which is really cool. The soundtrack is also really good, but most Pikmin soundtracks are good besides like Pikmin 4. Like I said, Pikmin 2 is weird. Multitasking is de-emphasized, which some people aren't gonna like, but still has that trademark Pikmin intensity. But instead of it being through multitasking, it's going through hellholes filled with enemies and bombs. Again, some people aren't gonna like the asshole level design, but the game is fair about it, so I don't have an issue with the trolling. It creates a lot of intense moments and it's just funny. There's a substantial amount of content too. I would give it a 9.5 out of 10, and that means I consider it a masterpiece. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I've seen a lot of the discourse surrounding this game, and I feel like I needed to say my piece. Even if their side is particularly wrong, I just feel like they're using the wrong words. That's all. Bye.